to aim my AC a little bit away from blasting right into the microphone, so let me go do that. Like literally blasting right into the mic right now, which I don't think is great. Also, let me know, because I have the AC running in the background, it's been quite hot and it's going to be hot for the remainder of the week, so the other streams this week are also going to have the AC in the background. I have a noise suppression filter on my microphone in OBS. I cannot monitor the noise suppression, like the output sound of it. So I don't know if my voice sounds like shit at the moment. If you guys watching would like to tell me whether or not my voice sounds like absolute garbage right now, and maybe just having like fan noise, like AC noise in the background would be preferable, I can just turn it off. If it sounds good, sounds perfect, fantastic. We're just gonna keep it on then, because I hate having like a loud noise in the background of streams and videos personally. And I'm sure as hell not turning off the AC. So I'm glad to hear that it sounds good. So, okay. What we're going to be doing today is I'm trying to catch up a little bit on streams that I've missed out on. So between streams today, because I didn't feel like doing a lot of work, I did a little bit of pixel art. Yes, I did some work off stream. Fucking sue me. So what I made is I'm just going to import all three files right here, and we'll take a look at it. I made an icon for a card. We're going to have to set all of these to use like linear filtering anyway, right? So there's an icon for a card. The downscale options, no. Texture group, somewhere in here, I think. Oh no, that might be... Hold on, we need to make a texture, like a sprite out of this, right? That's how that works. Sprite actions, yeah, create sprite. So that will be the card icon for sprite. And now if we open this, I think we can set the... How do we do this again? It's been a while since like it's been a couple of weeks, right? Let me check real quick with just one of the other sprites, right? We've got object sprites, we've got the chest sprite, that's a texture. And if I zoom into that, that is sharp. So it's got something to do with this. It's the texture group, 2D pixels. I think that might be what I'm looking for. So if I do 2D, that makes it unfiltered. So this is not actually quite what I created. Still. That's kind of weird. Because what I created, if I open up the card icon sprite file, seems like there might have been a little bit of like compression happening. Surely not, it's a PNG. Give it a moment here while sprite opens up. So this is actually like what I created. It's much more like simple and clean and what the hell? Should be 1 pixel big. That's different from whatever the fuck is happening here. So that's kind of weird. Not entirely sure what's going on there, but honestly, I'm kind of fine with it. Don't really care. Just gonna be a little icon that displays in this actually, in the display case. So we have this as well. And this one I care a lot more about. So let's see, 2D pixels unfiltered. Yeah, so there's a little bit of like weird compression going on with these things, which is kind of messing with me a little bit. Not gonna lie, not entirely sure why that's happening. I'm actually going to export as PNG. Yeah, that should just export it as non-compressed. Not entirely sure what's happening there. But this is the display case, so the card is going to be in here when the display case has a card. So we need to make that into sprite as well. Sprite actions, create sprites, and let me actually put up the chats as well, just in case people are saying stuff. And then I made a sprite sheet for the NPCs as well, which obviously we also need to set to 2D pixels. Yeah, something's real fucked about this. Let me... I am sure that it's something to do with this scaling method. It kind of has to be. Compression settings, user interface 2D, RGBA. Ah, there we go. Compression settings. That's the thing that's messing with us. So now it's all solved. Okay, that's much better. So we need to compress them as user interface images. And then specifically for this one, that's actually going to be relevant. So you might be saying, this is a horrible looking sprite. And you would be correct. Because this is just the same sprite as the player character. But his hair is green. His shirt is red and blue. And anybody who knows anything about computer graphics might already be thinking, oh, I see what you're doing here. Because we have specifically pure green, pure red, and pure blue in here. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be filtering out these specific colors and replacing them with procedurally generated colors instead. Because I didn't feel like making like 20 different character sheets for 20 different NPCs. So all the NPCs are just going to be the same sprites as the main character, but recolored. And that's how I'm going to solve that issue. So... And I feel really smart for doing that. Yes, I do. I also need to add the chat box back into the stream real quick, which if I just go here, no, this one. Oh, actually, I was just in the wrong scene, wasn't I? There we go. That's much better. So that's how we're going to do things. And that's actually, I think, pretty easy to do. So I think I want to start with that. I want to break free. I want to make a material for that. So what we're going to be doing, and to be fair, we could just use this exact same sprite and sample these exact colors instead. But I didn't do that. But there's no reason that it needs to be exactly red, exactly blue, and exactly green. You can sample any color. The reason that I'm doing it like this is the way I'm going to be setting it up. If I ever want to replace these sprites and have some more shading going on here, I can just shade these entirely within like green values, these entirely in red values, and these entirely in blue values. And the material will still just work for it. Anyway, we'll see how that ends up working out in a moment. So in here, let's make a... I have a like sprite material somewhere, I believe. Let's actually take a look at that. Yeah, we have here the masked unlit sprite material. I think that is a child of the default sprite material. And that one we are going to copy over because we're going to be doing some stuff with that. So let's put that in, I guess, sprites. And this will be our NPC sprites. Let's just prefix it with material. Hello everybody, joining in. We're just getting started setting up our sprite. So for this, what we're going to do is I'm going to just display our NPC sprites here on a plane so we can very easily see them. And then it's just going to be as easy as splitting the red, green, and blue. I just realized actually that I'm going to run into an issue. What I was saying about like being able to shade with red, green, and blue specifically before, that might actually not be possible because it's also going to, like, every color in here is a mix of red, green, and blue, including the like beige skin tones. So that actually doesn't work as well as I thought it was going to. But just to show you, if I just put in the green here, it's going to be like mostly black, except for anything that has green in it. And what we're actually going to be doing is we want to check if this is equal to 1. And if it is equal to 1, we're going to be returning 1, and otherwise we return 0. And now the entire sprite will be... Otherwise we return 0. We need to actually make that a thing. Now the entire sprite will be black, except for the hair, which is entirely green. So if we then multiply this... we could also, I guess, lerp it. But if we multiply this with literally any color now, we now have a way to make his hair literally any color we want. So that's the basic idea. And of course, we're going to expose this as a parameter for the hair color. But we kind of just do that with all 3 channels. So I'm going to collapse this into a material function real quick. Collapse to function, check color channel. Just check color channel. So now if we do the same thing here and the same thing there, if we just put this in here, now the, let's see, that's red. So the little shirt should become blue. There we go. And now the little stripe on the shirt should become blue. There we go. And from there, it is just as easily as doing this 3 times. So actually connecting like all of them up. So it doesn't really matter into which we add that in. And then just adding them together. So we just add that plus that. And then we add again that plus that. I guess we could also append them. Might actually be better. But that should then result in, well, obviously, we need to actually like... that's a good point. This will only now give us... Okay, I didn't think about that. This will only actually give us the stuff that is like keyed out. It doesn't give us the original pixels back either. So I guess what we do is we like append this as red, green, and blue. And then we take the RGB from this and we subtract that RGB from it. And we add those colors back in at the very end. On top of it. That should now get the skin tone back, right? Yes, but it also makes everything lighter for some reason. Okay, so let's actually take a look at... Okay, so that's definitely not what I had in mind. Is that because I just mixed up the channels here? Green. Oh, yeah, I mixed up some of the channels. This is red. This is supposed to be green. I think if I just switch these around... That might do the trick. It doesn't. Slightly confused about that, not gonna lie. Oh no, actually that does make sense. We just need to... we just need to make sure that that's like not a vector. So... Because if we put this into there now, right? That should be... Okay. That's also kind of a look, to be honest with you. Uh, hmm. So why is it fucking with the shoes? Is it fucking with the shoes? It's not fucking with the shoes. Never mind. So we get this, and then we... Everything there is black, so we just add on top of that. So this should, by all accounts... Yeah. Now that does work. So if we put that into there, and that into there, we now can give him, like, orange hair. Well, there we fucking go. That works. Again, the idea about shading is not going to work with this, so that was entirely stupid. And I don't know if I care to fix that. Because that would make this, like, if I make this let's think. Because that would require an entirely different material function. Because we'd have to make a function that checks if any given pixel has values. That's actually not too difficult to make, right? We can just break vector into 3 components. And we just need to check, like, if any of these, like, if any 2 of those have an output of greater than 0. So the idea is, if we have multiple pixels that are just red in different values, that's fine. If a pixel has red and a bit of green, that means that that's, like, a color value that we don't want to touch. But for now, I don't think I care. Because I don't even know I'm going to be shading these sprites to begin with. So let's just stick with this. And let's give this a little bit more, like, a pleasant color to look at. So this will be, like, green with, like a teal cyan kind of color. That's his hair. Maybe the hair should be, like, a little bit more brown, maybe. Something like that. And then this will be... that's actually... yeah, let's make that blue. Specifically, this just needs to be a more pleasant color. Let's see. That's a little too dark. That's definitely not a pleasant color. This will do. So these will be the default values. Can I just convert to parameters? There we go. This will be shirt color, hair color, and strip color or something like that. Which now also should let me update these live, I think. Maybe not. I think when I make an instance of it, you can change them live, but it's fine. So that's the material for the NPCs done. Just needed to get that done before we can actually start making the AI stuff. And then also, while we're at it actually, let's also update the display case now that we have the sprites for that. So we've been using just this tinted chest so far. Obviously, that's entirely temporary. Because we now have a display case for this, and that's a fantastic point. These need to be scaled accordingly. What was our scaling, like, ratio for these sprites again? Let's actually give object sprites the chest sprites. Pixels per unit is 0.2. So we want to do that for all of these. I never made a sprite sheet out of this. This is like 32 by 32, right? Yes. Okay. We're going to need to categorize this in a moment, but for now, let's just do all this. Asset actions, property matrix. Pixels per unit is 0.2 for all of them. Okay, that is a little bit better. And then for that specific one, which is this one, I want to pivot it from the bottom left, I think, is what we've been doing. Cool. So now we have this thing, and then we can add another sprite to this. So paper sprite as a child of the other sprite, and then we'll make that a card. And we can set this to just let's see, just -1 in this direction. Cool. Lets us easily toggle on and off this card when there is a card in the display or not. So the way we're gonna do that is, it's a very fucking good question, you know that? I hadn't really thought that far ahead yet. I think we have a display case inventory screen here. And let's just take a look. So yeah, on redraw inventory, I guess what we do, or just, yeah, so on redraw inventory, what we do is we get our display case, we get our, what even is that component called? Let's call it card sprites. And I swear after that, we're actually going to get started with the AI stuff. Don't you worry about that. We will get to it. Card sprites. And then we set visibility based on whether or not our card is valid. So we do an is valid. Not that one. The bottom one here. So if I guess our WBP card is the thing that we're checking. No. What we're checking is the... Okay, so what we're checking actually is the card asset. So we break, we get the card asset, we check whether or not that is valid. If it is valid, we set visibility. We set visibility in both cases, actually. So if it is valid, we set the visibility to true. Otherwise, we set it to false. And in both cases, we then move on to, I think, this bit is what we connected it to before. And then by default... Oh, but yeah, okay. So, this probably should be a function on the display case itself. And you'll see why in a second. So we do event graph set. I mean, custom events, of course. Set card visibility. We just kind of copy this over, to be honest with you. We break that into is valid. The reason we do that is because we also want to set this on begin play. So set card visibility. We also want to run that on begin play. We can just get the inventory component from this. And card sprite will just be card sprite. We don't need to have any weird stuff happening, like other references there. And then in this, we can just say our display case, set card visibility on inventory redraw as well. Okay, that should now work, I think. So yeah, all the display cases are empty until I walk up to one. By the way, I need to probably set some collision stuff up for this. I need to obviously have a card in my inventory. Oh, if I now load, there technically is a card in here, isn't there? Yeah. But you can see as I put a card in there, it now shows it with a card inside. So that's quite nice. I can put a card in there and okay, that one is a little weird. Don't know what the hell's up with any of this. Oh, I can just infinitely, like... Huh. Okay, did not expect that. Is that to do with the loading? I think that's probably to do with the loading, if I had to guess. So let's... We're not going to fix that right now if it is. I want to point that out. I do want to put some... Yeah, so it is to do with the loading, I think. If I take it out, it does actually take it out, which is quite nice. It's just something with the save loading that seems to be messing up. But I like putting the cards into the cases. That much seems to work quite well. And that's really all that I care about for right now. So let's start making that NPC. So we have our test player, which is a 2D player, which has all kinds of inputs, but we also have a 2D character, which is what we're probably going to... Probably should have called a 2D pawn, to be honest. Oh well, too late for that now. 2D character. And that will be our blueprint NPC. So, first things first, we give this thing a sprite, of course, and or a flipbook, rather. So let's just copy over the flipbook that we already have for the player. Where is that? Character sprites? I think it's character sprites, right? We have this and this. So let's just make a NPC and a player. So everything in here can move up into the player folder, and then the NPC folder just let's see, all of this, I might as well put that one in there as well, can go into the NPC folder. And then we can copy over these two real quick. And this will be the animation. No. This will be the animation source for the NPC. We're actually making some good progress right now. How's everybody doing? Distract me. Because that's how we do. Let's see. This needs to be a flipbook NPC down. Warp. And then I think this needs to be a flipbook. NPC sidewalk. I'm gonna run into an issue because we're flipping the sprite for the player based on the last input. We're gonna have to figure out a way to deal with that for the NPC, which doesn't have like traditional inputs, of course. For now, that's a future problem to deal with. And then we have these, which is create flipbook, NPC, up, walk. Honestly, for this one, what I might just do is I might just say, hey, these 3 sprites, we're just gonna copy paste those. And I'm going to say, hey, this looks interesting. Let's say that you are -32. That's not how that works. Okay. The UVs instead then. Surely we can set the UVs to a negative number. No, we cannot. Oh, hold on. That's not what that does at all. This probably also doesn't work. There must be something in here where I can just flip the sprite as a whole, right? Surely. This is kind of annoying. There might be something that I'm missing. I was just thinking that it might be easier, instead of flipping through code like we did with the player, I'm trying to figure out if I just like copy over these sprites and just say, hey, take this sprite and like flip it in here. Rotate it, source in image. I mean, no, I don't need to rotate it. I need to flip it. Surely that's a thing we can do. There isn't just a flip option, right? Now, scale? Size? Added rendering geometry. What if I just like try to do something with that? If I just say, hey, you move there, you're gonna be cold? Is that what's happening? No, oh, we're just offsetting things. Okay. Edit source region. I don't need to edit the source region. Yeah, so this is kind of bullshit. Not gonna lie. I also don't really care that much. Flip the sprite in actor. Yeah, no, I can definitely do that, but I also think it's a little bullshit that that's the only way to flip a sprite. Because effectively what that means is you either need to do it through code, which can be a bit of a hassle, because the way that we're doing it for the player, like that's the way I'm doing it for the player. Like, right, this works. But this set of sprites is the same as this set of sprites, just flipped around. But the way we're doing that right now is entirely up to the last inputs that I gave it. But for the AI, it doesn't have the same like method of input. so that's going to be a little more annoying to deal with. I suppose I can just program in like the movement you're having at this point, unless it's 0, store that in a variable and keep that. But again, that's kind of an over-engineered solution to something that should just exist. So I'm going to do a real quick Google search. Unreal Paper 2D flip sprites. Yeah, everything. I remember looking this up before, actually. Everything about this just says, hey, just flip it through code, dummy. Which, like, yeah, that is a good band-aid. But the fact that that is just, like, the actual solution is a little insane. But hey, I mean, Epic didn't make a 2D engine. So the fact that I'm using this for 2D is kind of like my bad, to be honest with you. Okay, I guess we're just doing it that way. That's fine. Let's go back into our BP NPC. That's this one, right? Yes, it is. So we have our source flipbook. No, we need to set our stuff up here. So this is... Okay, so this is our animation blueprint, and then this should be our source. Animation sequence. So we've got walk down. And then we've got walk side and walk up. We'll get to the frame rates in a moment. Oh, that's it. Yeah, okay. So walk up. Walk side. Hold on, we have a... Didn't we do multi-directional sequence? I'm just going to take a quick peek at what we did for the player. Also, greetings back to even Steven. So that's this one, right? No, it's definitely this one. Okay, so we've got player idle and player walking, and both of those are multi-directional. So, okay, that's how we do it. Oh, and... Oh, now I remember. Yeah, we needed to make flipbooks. Hold on. We need to make flipbooks on the idle ones as well, because it can't just display a sprite. It needs to be a flipbook. It needs to be animation. So that's player down idle. Then these three we can actually remove because we're not going to be using those anymore. I guess we could maybe actually... I still... This is also a dumb workaround, but can we like flip this one? And then create sprites out of this? Because it would be dumb. But just kind of curious at this point, to be honest with you. I don't think there's really a way to do that, is there? Yeah, no. Again, it would be a dumb solution anyway. Okay, so we've got player down idle, player side idle. Not player? Did I say player? It's NPC. Side idle. I called the other one player. Hold on. That needs to be NPC. And then we've got the up idle as well. NPC up idle. Okay, one of these. There we go. So we've got NPC walk. Not a plus. I want to have an underscore there. An NPC idle. There's no flip? Yeah, no. There's like... This is an issue that we ran into before as well, when doing the player. But I had a different idea. Instead of... What I wanted to do is I wanted to like flip the entire sequence, but I was like, oh, what if we just make a separate sequence and we would try to flip the individual frames of the animation? Also not possible. What if we try to flip the entire image instead? That we sample the textures or the sprites from. Also, apparently not a thing. There's just nothing that allows me to flip this stuff. The only thing that would probably allow me to flip this is to make a material that is flipped in the UVs and then switch out the material dynamically based on what direction I'm walking in. But that is even more insane than just rotating or scaling the sprites itself. So, yeah, no. The fact that there's no flipping of sprites is kind of wild. And the fact that there's no flipping of sprites in like the default Unreal stuff is one thing, but then somebody took it upon themselves to like improve Unreal's 2D support with Paper ZD, which I'm very happy that someone did that. Like, let's be very clear about that. I'm very happy that somebody took the time, okay, 4 frames per second, to like improve support for 2D stuff in Unreal, but then didn't also fix this, what I see as a pretty glaring issue. That is the part that like kind of messes with my mind, to be honest with you. Okay, so yeah, this one definitely needs to have like another frame inserted into it. Because it needs to do this. Sprite 4. Oh, that's definitely not the right order either. Hold on. Can you stop previewing, please? Thank you. Okay. So we have still, forward, more forward, backward. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That needs to be this one then. Right? We have still, forward, still, backward. That's a lot better. Okay, there's a bunch of assets open right now. Let's close some of this shit down. Like this one, and like all these animation ones that we no longer need. Make sure that we save everything though. Oh, this is the... You know what? Actually doesn't matter that much. We can just say, hey, that's idle. That is the side idle. This is the down idle. This is also the side idle. No. Side idle. No. Wait, what? This one, yes. Idle, 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 idle. Then the walking animations are walk up, walk side, yes, walk down, and we're just going to copy paste this one over. Okay, so that's all set up now. Fantastic. Can we go back into our blueprint now and say whichever one... Wait, what? Player sprites. How do we set up the animation blueprint for this again? Oh, it's the animation component. That's it. Yeah, that's where we go. Okay, so we set up just fucking something. Down idle. Sure, there we go. And then we have the animation components, which we say, okay, sprite, yes, and then we have the NPC. We have the collision box that definitely should be a fair bit bigger. Matter of fact, it's going to be the exact same collision box as our player. So we might as well just go in here and copy this, paste it in there, and we have the same collision. Hello, how you doing? I'm doing good. How is everybody else? I have the ugliest sprite in the world, but we're going to set the colors for this procedurally. So, which is going to be even more ugly. But we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll be, promise, we'll be fine. Okay, so the sprite is we set material for the sprite. And for this, we create a dynamic material instance. And the material instance that we're going to be creating will be our like NPC material. And then after we create that, we set parameter 3 times. Is that going to be like a vector, or do we have a color parameter? I guess it's a vector parameter, right? Yeah, there we go. So we do 3 of them, and then we need to make sure that we have the right names for them. So it's shirt color, hair color, and strip color. So we set the shirt color, the hair color, and these will probably be taken out of like data tables or something like that, and the strip color. Yeah, you can. It's actually quite a nice trick. You probably couldn't quite tell what I did, but if you shift right click on a field, it copies it over to your clipboard, and if you then shift left click on a field of the same type, it will paste it in. And for the most part, like even if I take like this scale here, you can do it with that. You can, I think you can do it with the entire transform as well if you wanted to. Saves a bunch of time being able to just copy paste over information like that. And I guess we'll, for the time being, just kind of like make a random like random color, linear color, random hue, and, random vector. Can we just link that through like that? Like in theory, this should make random things every time. Why? Okay. This needs to be blueprint, read and write. Let's do that. Let's save everything first. And then we'll go to a 2D character. We've got our sprite, and that will be blueprint, read, write. And then we can rebuild. Right, this will rebuild now, hopefully. It's quite a nice little feature, that copy pasting thing. Okay, that was pretty quick to rebuild. That's 17 assets we had open. But that should now fix that little compile error we had a moment ago. We can also like close this one and this one and this one. Like all of these we can close as well. I'm not using that anymore. We're not going to be changing this for the time being. Don't even know what this is. Oh, this is the material function that we made. Display case we don't need to change anymore for the time being. This is cool, that's cool. Okay, so these ones we actually want to put up here because we want to access them. And then we have our, where are you? PP NPC. Um, don't know why that is suddenly an issue, but we're just going to... Oh, it's the wrong node. Create dynamic material instance. Oh yeah, I have that parent. Now that seems right. So I don't know. Target's primitive component. Oh! Oh yeah, no, that might have probably done it. Yeah. Hook that up, hook that up. Hook that up, and then actually set the material. Okay, so now anytime we put one of these NPCs into the world, wherever they might be, are they just in the content folder? They should have... There we go! Random colors! That looks really funny. So yeah, anytime we move them, they get technically reconstructed, so they get new colors. Yeah, there's 1.5 million keybinds and stuff to get used to into a loon. So it's a real pain. But once you know them, makes for a real fast and smooth development, so that's kind of cool. That means that I think we can now start working on a little bit of AI stuff. So let's make... I don't know how we're going to do this, to be honest with you. I guess we just start making the behavior tree and we'll see. So let's just artificial intelligence behavior tree, NPC. It's only going to be like one thing that these guys do anyway. Okay, the first thing that a NPC should do when they go into the shop is pick a random display case, which has a card in it, and go to it to see whether or not they want to buy it. So this is, let's just write this out real quick, right? We have, let's actually write that out in here where we can see these guys. So we have these display cases. NPC comes in and picks one at random. But we need to make sure that it is one that has a card in it. So the first thing we do, I think in the game mode itself, is we keep a list of all the display cases that have a card in it. When a card gets removed from a display case, we remove it from that list in the game mode. So that way, this guy can just sample that list, which just pretend like this list is over here. Can just sample this list, take a random item out of it, and move to, let's say, it finds this one. And it can decide to move to this. Then we need to write some logic on whether or not it thinks it's worth buying this thing. And if it does, we'll get to that when we get to that. If it does, I guess it just buys it and it fucks off and gives you money. But on top of that, there also should be like a 1% chance or so that a NPC doesn't walk to any of these display cases. Instead, they should walk to, like, I don't know, somewhere over here, like the checkout counter, to try to sell you a card instead. The only thing that I'm thinking about is, should they, once they decide to buy a card, should they also go to the like checkout register? Which like forces the player to go back there and actually check them out. And if that takes too long, they just leave again. But if they leave again, that also requires me to have them put back the card. And that seems like a pain to do. Well, not that bad. Like, they can just keep a reference to where they took the card from and put them back in. But then what happens if they take the card out and I put a card in the meantime, and then they have to put them back? Like, there's a lot of edge cases that we're creating with this, and I don't think I want to deal with that. So I think the buying of a card is literally just going to be autonomous. Player doesn't interact with that whatsoever. The only thing that the player has to do is put the card in the display case and wait for it to sell. And maybe update the prices every so often if they don't sell enough. If a NPC decides, actually, I don't think I want to buy this card, I think they should kind of enter a loop where they go here, they wait a second, they decide, and if they decide negative, what they should do is they should have like a 50% chance, probably less than 50% chance because you want to like get them out of your store at some point. But they should have like a 30% chance to pick another card that is on display at this time. And check out whether or not they want to buy that one. So that's kind of the idea of what we're going to be making. First, let's just make them pick a card. And I think what we're going to do here is in the game mode, we want to have a U property blueprint read and write, probably. Yeah, blueprint read write. It's going to be a T array of type a display case pointers cases with cards. And let's just make a function to go with that. So that'll be a display case pointer return type gets case with card. That way we can actually keep this in protected, and this should then be in public because the other code is going to access it. So get display cases with card. And what is the action menu thing again? It's Control plus. We generate that definition. Oh, I don't like the fact that that exists above begin play. Let me we probably put it in between begin play and stuff. That's also not great, is it? Anyway. Return. I think we literally can just say display no cases with cards. Does it make more sense to make this exist? Yeah, I think it makes more sense to make this exist on the display case manager, to be honest. Maybe not. We'll just do this. This one dot, I think we can just get like a random. Like get random. Unreal T array get random. Is that a... I think that might just be like a Kismet thing. In that case, the easiest way to do this will be int I equals u gameplay. Actually, that's f math, I think. Random int rand int. So take a range that takes in a seed. Rand in range. Let's see. This thing already has gameplay statics. Is there something in gameplay statics that does this for me? Didn't think so. Unreal C++ random int in range. It can't be that difficult, right? You just need to... Oh, it's just get random number? That is it. Kismet math library. That's what I was looking for. Kismet math library. Kismet math library. Random. There we go. Random integer. Returns are uniformly between 0 and max -1. So that would be this dot num, right? And then we just return I. That works. Probably a better way to do that, but I don't care. And then we also need a add and a remove for that actually. So that's just a void add case with guard and void remove case with guard. Don't mess with this. I did, by the way, decide to keep using Rider. My trial period is over, and I'm still using it. I got a subscription to it today. Both of these should actually take in a display case pointers. Display case to add. To remove. Like the fact that it keeps adding in those includes, and the fact that it tells you when certain includes or certain variables are unused, all that kind of stuff. The fact that it tells you, hey, Blueprint doesn't use this, why the fuck do you have it exposed? All that kind of stuff is actually really quite useful, turns out. So yeah, we add the display case to add very easily. Can we add unique, actually? We can. Don't want to accidentally re-add them if something goes wrong. Remove. Why are you still bitching? Function is not implemented. Yeah, wanna but it's also sometimes wrong. Just takes a moment to catch up. There we go. Okay, so let's rebuild with all that and update our display cases real quick. So that they're adding and removing themselves to that list. And then those NPCs can sample that list. So we have the... I don't know why it keeps adding these as a separate window. It's really annoying. Okay. We have the display cases. Let's open it up. We have this function for that. So if this is valid, we also... do we have a reference to the game mode? Like GM? Like get GM? I don't think so. Game mode. Well, we'll just cast to very damn good question. What are we going to cast to? What is that thing called to begin with? I guess it's like TCG Tycoon game mode. There we go. I know what I call my own classes. You know what? Let's just do this on begin play once. Matter of fact, probably should just do this in C++, but here we are. Promote to variable. I am... Do we not have it in C++? I could have sworn that we... No, we actually straight up just don't. Okay. Cool. Okay, so in this case we add card, add display, Oh, those aren't U functions. Fuck me. I did make them U functions. Of course, it's not gonna work. Get case with card. That probably should be called get random case with card. And all these should be U functions. Also, a lot of like the IntelliSense stuff just works better with Rider for Unreal specific macros for some reason. Might just be because I had VS Code set up improperly, but kind of like part of the point, I suppose. So this is blueprint. Blueprint callable. And we'll just mark all these as blueprint callable. Which results in us rebuilding again. Because that's just kind of what we do. I also have a headache coming up, and hopefully it's not going to be that bad. It's been hot today. I probably just haven't been drinking enough water. Been quite a stressful day altogether. And sometimes that means you forget to take care of yourself properly. At least if you're me. I'm just kind of like bad at not dying sometimes. Which is the bare fucking minimum to like be a human being, I know, but case. So yeah, we add a case with card. And then we remove a case with card on this one. So whenever we update and it turns out that we don't have yeah, both of these just need a reference to self. Whenever we don't have a card anymore, we remove it, and whenever we do have a valid card, we add ourselves. If we somehow end up running this twice, we have that add unique for that specific reason, so we'll be fine. But now we have that list, which we can also access. So we can get random case with card. Now that's just a random display case from the game mode. Which means we really don't have any reason anymore to postpone what we're supposed to be doing here, which is doing our stuff. Well, except the fact that we need to set up a AI controller for that. We're just going to do that in Blueprint. AI controller. NPC, AI controller. All this is going to do is just on begin play run behavior tree NPC. That's literally all that it's gonna do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we don't need to do anything else. So in the blueprint for NPC, we do need to set the AI controller to our NPC AI controller, just so that it does that. And we just kind of start with a, we'll do a selector just to pretend to actually do something. And we move to, and then on the selector we can add a, good question. How are we going to do this? I think I want the, let's just move them out of the way a little bit. I think I always want them to be looking at this from the bottom side. So what I want is the character itself. So let's just pull an NPC into here. There we go. The character itself should be, let's just actually, yeah, no, that's about right. Should be standing, let's just set this to 0, 0, just to make sure that everything is aligned properly. Yeah, so should be standing, what the fuck? How is that possible? You are aligned properly, right? Yes, you are. Oh. Oh, but you're not. Okay, so a part of the problem actually is the fact that this is aligned in the center. I think we can relatively easily fix that. But for now, I don't think it matters that much. For now, what we'll just do is we'll pretend like this is what we do. So we take this and we just like find the location of the display case that we want to move to. And then we subtract what is essentially like, or add, rather, we add 40 in the X, and presumably this is like 80? Yeah, 80 in the Y. Okay, so I think that will be a C++ class. We're going to be making it real quick. New C++ class, which will, let's maybe make a folder for that, maybe not. I don't care. All classes, that will be a task. Actually, I don't think we can make this with with C++ because I made the thing itself a blueprint class. So let's make a C++ class first, because I think, well, no, the Blackboard itself can have, no, yeah, okay. I didn't really think this through too much, but let's just task. We can do a BT task. I guess Blackboard base. And this will be a big display case. Right, so that's the C++ file. It's the header file, which is immediately problematic for some reason. Yeah, we need to include a thing in our build.cs file, which is... Which one again? I always forget. ChatGPT, please. What module do I need to add in C++ for behavior tree stuff using Unreal? No, not there. Oh, yeah. That'll add automatically. Okay, AI module and gameplay tasks. I think that's what I wanted to know. So let's add those in there. It's probably good to actually do it like this to begin with, right? So we... Just for readability sake. There we go. So that should now fix that issue. Maybe not. Okay, there we go. I just needed to wait a second. Or maybe starting the rebuild actually is what did it. Then we... I really don't like the fact that it doesn't come with like the execute function pre-made. Because it's essentially begin play. Why wouldn't you include begin play in making a class? What function do I need in here? Execute task, but yeah, it has like a bunch of like parameters. It's got like a very specific signature. Thank you. That is what I needed. For the life of me, we'll never understand why it doesn't just generate with this execute task to begin with. Because when would you want to have a task that doesn't have an execute task function? Like, that doesn't make sense. That's the entire purpose of this. Anyway, I don't know why it wants to return that, but that's dumb. Now that just return 0. Return false. Does 0 not work? I thought that would work. Huh. Okay. What we do is we you gameplay statics, get game mode, world context object will be get pawn, owner comp get pawn, owner comp get control pawn. Which is it? New behavior tree components. Oh, get controller, I think, maybe? No? It's been a while. Owner comp dot get AI owner. Yeah, so get AI owner. There we go. Does that not constitute a context object? Should be a U object, right? So I don't know what's wrong here. Oh, it's not const. Is that the issue? I guess we, from there, get control pawn. That does the trick. There we go. And that will be our game mode, actually. So that will be a TCG. Start doing game mode. Pointer. Game mode equals. We cast that shit to a TCG Tycoon game mode. Halfway more readable this way. Okay, then what we do is we use our game mode, get random case with card, and we first check whether or not that is not valid. Because if that's not valid, we simply return false, right? But oh, that's the issue. We don't return true or false. What we need to return is one of this. So otherwise, what we do is we'll do this slightly differently, actually. A display case picked. Doesn't even need to be a display case, actually. We don't specifically in this task use anything about that, so it can just be a actor. What's your issue? Do I need to include? Oh, I need to include a display case anyway, do I? Well, in that case, might as well. Maybe I should have just returned the normal actor reference, just than the generic one, because, like, I don't know, man. We're gonna need to cast this anyway in a different task in a moment, so I don't actually think it matters. Like, at all. Is the font size large enough for you guys, actually? Like, it's a little bit annoying for me to have the split screen like this with this font size already. But if it needs to be bigger, do shout it out. So now we check whether or not display case is invalid. If it is, we return, and otherwise we like F blackboard key selector, target case. it's readable. That's good, because I really wasn't looking forward to gets like the key ID, and then we can like how does this work again? Unreal, how do I set a Blackboard key from C++ code? You need a Blackboard component for that. That makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. So we can get that from, let's see, the AI controller. Okay, so you Blackboard component. Yeah, and we use the Blackboard component. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. This should be a U property though. Edit defaults only. Backboard? No, it's Blackboard. And that will equal our stuff. Owner comp get AI owner. It's the AI controller, and then get Blackboard components. There we go. And then from there we can set set value as objects. There we go. And then we pass in our Blackboard key selector and our objects. And we don't actually do that because we need to get its name, right? That's an F name. So name. Because this makes too much sense, just passing in the key itself, right? That makes too much sense. Like it kind of makes sense actually that it would work like this. Because if you don't have a direct like struct here, but you do have the name for some reason, you can still access it easily. The other way around, like if you don't have, if you do have a name but not the actual reference to like this variable, that would be a huge pain, and this is not that big a deal. So it's actually like not that huge of a problem. And this will be succeeded. Okay, so now we have our function that sets our Blackboard key to our stuff when we need to find something new. Then next up, we need to actually let's do two things here. Because I also want to have a F Blackboard key selector for a target location then immediately. Because when we pick one of these, we're not going to be moving actually to the display case itself. We're going to be moving to like the 4080 offset. So we might as well have that there as well. Because otherwise we need to start making a like custom move to task to move to a selected actor with an offset, which would be insane to do. So we're not going to do that. What we're going to do instead is we will make this an early return here. But we'll also then need to put this up there. And then we use our Blackboard set value as vector, and we'll use our target location, select the key name, and that will just be a f vector. Can we just like, does it have a vector 0? It does! I always think every time I try to get a 0 vector, I wonder whether or not Unreal has a 0 vector function. And every time I'm surprised that it does. So yeah, it's just going to set that to 0, 0, 0, which means that you're going to be trying to move to 0, 0, 0. Just make sure that 0, 0, 0 isn't in the nav mesh, and that'll do fine. I guess. Yeah, that's fine. Blackboard sets value as vector, target location, name. Okay, and then we need to make a quick f vector here. So that's f vector move to location. And that's going to take an XYZ, so that's going to be... Okay, that's maybe not amazing to initialize that this way. Get actor location minus another f vector XYZ, right? So the X was 40, Y was 80. It's supposed to be, there we go, 80 and then 0, I believe. Yeah. So that will be our move to location. So now we're making an vector and just immediately initializing it as that location minus this specific vector. Just as like a location offset. For anybody who was wondering. Not that complicated, but you know, you never know. And then we return. Delete some white space here. This is now a complete function. So, okay. This means that we should, by all accounts, be able to have, yeah, okay, enough to do a test run on this. I'm going to just remove all this shit because I honestly don't care. Or at least like close them because I'm not working with them right now. Let's do a test run with this. We can do pick one. And the wonderful thing is, I believe, now that I think about it, maybe not. I'll have to double check something real quick about that. But I think, since we're going to be doing it in a sequence, when a node in a sequence fails, does it abort the entire sequence? Because it might, which means that the other two are never going to run unless it finds a suitable location. So, Unreal... actually, let's just ask ChatGPT. If a task fails, and that task was part of a sequence in the behavior tree, what happens to the rest of the sequence? Because I think it will skip the rest of the sequence, right? So, Unreal Behavior Tree System, sequence are types of composite nodes that execute their child nodes in order. Here's how a sequence happens. A sequence node will start executing its first child node. If the child node succeeds, then the sequence moves to the next child node. This process continues until either a child node fails or all child nodes succeeds. So, yeah, works exactly as I thought it would. Unless ChatGPT is lying to me, which it would. ChatGPT would never lie. That doesn't lie; it just hallucinates, technically speaking. But what do I know? So we can now set up the behavior tree. and have rudimentary AI running for this, I think, right? So we have that selector, but that selector is actually, well, for now, let's just like put in a sequence. Pick display case. We're going to be moving to that display case, and then we're going to be like waiting 5 seconds, and then I'll do it all again. So now I need a blackboard. Let's make one. Artificial intelligence, blackboard, NPC, BB, and we have self actor, and then we have our display case targets, and actually our target location. Target location. I don't know if our display case target will actually be a thing that we use for anything, if I'm being honest. I don't know. I think that we will, but I'm not 100% sure. These are not exposed, which is an issue. But this can go to the target location. And then in Rider, we... maybe this needs to be added anywhere. Does it need to be blueprint accessible as well? Is that what this actually is, technically speaking? Let's see. What did ChatGPT do? Header file. What uProperty do I need to make a variable exposed in a BT task? I think it's just add a default only should do it, right? No, it needs to be added anywhere. Oh, because it is technically the node is the instance, right? So yeah, that makes sense. Okay, rebuild. Because added defaults only is only for like setting the defaults in a class, in a blueprint class. But the node is not a like default thing. That itself is an instance of the class that we made. So it needs to be added anywhere. It makes sense if you think about it a little bit. So now it should have both of them. Yeah, so we have our target case, display case, target location will be target location. And we move to target location. And then we wait 5 seconds. So let's see whether or not this works. This should maybe crash the game. It does. Because it's trying to get... Yeah. Yeah, I thought as much. Let's fix that real quick. So in here, what is happening is we're getting a random case with card. But we're getting a random integer. And then we're getting I from that. But if that array is empty, this will be I equals 0. But it'll still try to get element 0. So we actually need to, if I... well, actually, if this is greater than 0, then we'll return cards I. And else, which is not technically necessary, but I still like it for readability, we return... I guess just a null pointer. Because we need to return something. Just moves the crash issue further upstream. Oh, that's actually a very good point. Yeah, that's gonna Gonna be a problem, isn't it? Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. We need to build in pick display case and execute task here. When we get this thing, we need to also. Oh no, we already have a null pointer check for that. I was way ahead of myself. Cool. So that means that now this should not crash anymore, and it doesn't. And you don't move anywhere because nothing here has a card in it. But if I then add a card into this first one, you should start moving to this shortly. Except, of course, you don't because it's not even a nav mesh. Yeah, we're going to ignore those errors for now. There's not even a nav mesh, so of course you won't. Nav mesh bounce volume. 0. Display the nav mesh, pretty please. I feel like it's going to be an issue with the nav mesh. I haven't tried nav mesh with 2D. This is the thing that I've been nervous about, seeing how this works. Because I feel like it just will not. This is also the reason that I opted to go with having everything laying down flat, because I was hoping that the nav mesh would do its thing. But so far, it's not filling me with a lot of hope. Where are the bounds? Oh, there we go. Yeah. That's a problem. So then what do we do? Because I'm not going to make... Well, it would be an interesting challenge, but I'm not going to do that, like, in this, like, series, because I want to finish up this game at some point. But I really don't want to make my own, like, tile-based pathfinding system. Because then I also need to start, like, keeping track of which tiles I'm doing on what and stuff like that. And I really don't want to do that. So let's think. Maybe Google has an answer. Unreal paper 2D nav mesh. In theory, you can just follow any normal 3D nav mesh tutorials and should work. It doesn't though, that's the issue. Okay, so this guy just doesn't know what he's talking about and has a totally different issue. Paper 2D, 2D nav mesh. You know, maybe that's interesting to look at.
Hello.
Hello indeed. Yeah, so this guy seems to have... Is it... It's not that it's generating on the bottom side, is it? No. Probably a good thing to keep in mind, though, that might be possible. There's also the thing that we want to, like, fill collision underneath. If set, nav mesh will not be generated under the surface of geometry. We do want that. But it's just like the nav mesh is not generating to begin with. is the issue. Just to be sure that nothing else fucky is going on, if I just add in a cube here, right? Will a nav mesh generate on top of this? Actually, no. At least it's not showing. That's odd. Let's just save and close out of the engine and just relaunch real quick, because that's weird. It's just supposed to work with this, because it's still all happening in a 3D space, right? Yeah, and like 90% of what this guy's actually doing in this video is not nav mesh related. It's literally just the start of, hey, I added a nav mesh. Cool story. But for some reason it's... I don't know if it's not generating or if it's just not showing. Use the console command instead. That actually is also a good idea. Unreal? Oh, there you are. Do you know what the console command is off the top of your head? I fucking hate this. People saying, hey, I have this issue, and then, hey, I have solved it. Restarted my engine and it solved the issue. Yeah, not for me, though. Resetting the location to 000? It's worth a try. Fucking doubt it, but... I haven't used it in ages. Yeah, me neither. Because you shouldn't need to. Fill collision underneath for nav mesh. That's... No, I didn't think so. That wouldn't be the issue. Let's see, actually, like player collision. Stability collision, player collision. If I... Yeah, so this does have... Like, it kind of makes sense. It wouldn't generate it on the tile map yet. I might need to set something up for that. That's entirely fair. But at least it should generate on that cube, right? Like, there's no reason for it not to be generating on this cube. Unless the cube is just too small. Let's just make the cube bigger. Like, it's not even generating on the cube. No, it is. Never mind. Okay, it is. We have progress. It's just this. The tile map itself is the issue. Fill collision underneath for nav mesh. Yeah, that ain't doing much. Maybe delete the nav mesh and recast nav mesh, add it again. Yeah, so, okay, this part works, which is good. What's less good is the fact that that means that we somehow have to get this tile map to work with a nav mesh. But at least we have something specific to look for now. So Unreal 2D tile map nav mesh. I think the issue may be something that we need to set up in the tile map itself. Potentially. Because we have like all of this shit right here. Maybe its collision thickness isn't enough, so let's set that to like 250 instead. And then we get this annoying thing where we need to clear this out and add it back in. Yeah, that doesn't do shit. I can pretty much promise you, though, that if we go into the tile set here, and I take these again, and like I add box collisions to these, right? And I save this, and I save this, and I clear this again one of these days. There we go. And I re-add it. Oh, well, that's fucked. Oh, that's why. Okay. And I re-add it. Yeah, so it does generate on these collisions. So wherever something is collidable, it generates collision. It's just the tile map itself doesn't have collision, which... Oh, it's just the tile map itself doesn't have... No, that doesn't make sense either. Because, like, if I go down to the collision here, it says block all. It's just only these tiles have collision. But then how do I set, like... I want... What I want is a, like... Wherever something doesn't have collision, it should have, like, one pixel depth of a collider, so that the nav mesh can pick up on it. And everything else should have a very high collision thickness. Is that something that we can set up in here, actually? That's a fantastic question. So yeah, the tile map does have the right collision settings, sadly. Let me recheck that other video that I was just skimming through, because this does have something similar going on, I think.
So now if I go and generate paths again, we'll see if anything pops up. Right, so one of the reasons this is because it's too small. So if I...
Yeah, it's too small, that makes sense, but that's not my issue.
I'll find out how to draw this on such a small area doesn't work, so you have to scale it all up, which means that you're going to have to scale your character up and change the speed.
Yeah, I believe you there, but...
So one of the things we can do is go into the project settings on the left-hand side.
I'm jumping into this guy's episode 10 in a series that he's doing, so obviously I'm missing a lot of info on how he's got things working. But it seems like... I don't even see the collisions, that's a weird part. remove this for now. It makes the collisions, but it should also show those collisions going up like to that height, and it's just not. So there's also something weird going on with that. But that might be something to do with this, actually. Layer collides, let's see. Should this layer generate collision? No, this only has an effect if the owning tile map has collision enabled. That makes sense. But that's set to block all, so that checks out. If we set this to like a big ass number, let's set this to 500, right? That updates, at least that updates instantaneously. But that's still a matter of fact. If we just set this to 0, what does that do? So I guess what we actually want to do in that case, maybe, is maybe all of this, like all of these need to have collisions. So then everything just needs to have collisions, and we have the different layers do different stuff. So we have this, that's on layer 2, and that's on layer 1. So, oh, layer 1 just has a collision thickness of, okay, so if we give this a collision thickness of 1, actually let's keep it at 0 just to try. I'm assuming that's 0. Okay, now it works. So then if we want to add in things that have in the tile map that block those collisions, then we just add in another layer with a collision thickness of like 100, and that will then displace. So let's just test that for a moment real quick. So let's add a new layer, layer 3, and this will have a collision thickness of like 100, and we'll add like a couple of carpets there. Right. I figured that would do the thing, but it didn't. Maybe I need to save. This definitely needs to. Oh, no, 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 no. I want to move the nav mesh. So something to do with the nav mesh and the sprite. Fill collision underneath for nav mesh. Okay, so that's underneath. Oh, that might be the issue. Is it because... Okay. So it needs to be at a certain height for it to start blocking the nav mesh. That's not ideal. Does it also have a collision depth? No. Well, these definitely need to be like up higher now because I don't think I'll be able to move. Yeah, I cannot move now. But that might actually mean that this thing finally has... Hold on, does that mean that I can finally do the thing? First and foremost, actually, I think this is... No, it's still at location 0, never mind. I might be able to finally do that. I can! Fantastic. Why is the collision for the entire thing so far above, though? That's what weirds me out, but anyway. So yeah, now I can just walk over top of this. This definitely needs to do, like, a thing. You can walk over everything. It's not entirely what I wanted. We are making progress. Slowly but surely. So if I go into the sprite, does the sprite have any settings for collision? Collision shapes. Box size, that's two-dimensional. That doesn't help. Like depth. Collision thickness, here we go. So if we set this to, let's just set it to 1,000, just to be insane. There we go. Okay. That's exactly what we needed, I think. So now let's also set the collision thickness. 1,000 might be a little overkill, but I also don't think it matters. So let's just stick with 1,000 because it's easy to type. And then this dude should be on top of the collision, which extends quite far out still for some reason, which I don't understand. But okay, we have all this now. It's good. And if I now add in one of these in here, he moves the fuck over to this display case. Okay, so that works. Not quite the way I would have liked, admittedly. Definitely need to put in some stuff, but now he will move randomly between the display cases in theory. There we go. Yeah, so now he will move randomly between the display cases that have cards. He also kind of gets stuck. And I can walk through him. I never said it was perfect. In my defense. But that's a start. I would prefer the pathing to be a little bit more rigid, be more tile-based. But at that point, I would probably need to like code my own pathfinding, and I really don't want to do that. So we're not going to. What I'm going to do, however, is make this guy move a hell of a lot slower. Because this is a speedy dude. But that should just be in the pawn movement. His maximum speed should probably be like... What is the player's maximum speed? It should probably be a little less than the player's. Test player, somewhere in here. There we go. Pawn movement. The player is also at 1,200. Huh. No idea how that makes sense, but sure. Oh, I I think I did something a little weird. So if we Let's check. If we increase this by 40, it moves to that direction. That makes sense. If we increase this by 80, oh, it does move down. No, that does make sense. So then why does he move over here instead of over there? Is it because... No, that's still global space, right? So if we... Oh, we subtract. We should be adding. That's not a big deal. That's just a matter of, hey, minus becomes plus. Such a big deal, we can actually live code that in. I am more than confident in live coding that instead of rebuilding properly. Because that's like just straight up not an issue. Yeah, so now he should actually move to standing beneath the case. Or not. What? That don't make any sense. Just put them side by side, I suppose. Just to see. So yeah, his target location is 0, 0, 0. He's never going to try to move there. Because he's just blinking the ever-living hell out of this. Don't press escape, that would be bad right now. So if I then place a card in here, he immediately finds that. And he tries to move to... Why is that? He still subtracts. Why does he still subtract? I guess the live coding didn't work that well after all, so we're going to just build. And that should fix that. And then maybe we need to look into also making him face the proper direction, because there's kind of like a thing. I just don't exactly know how I'm going to do that, is the thing. But we'll figure that out when we get to it. For now, I just want to make sure that, like, you move to the position where I want you to move to. Not collision, right? Yeah, that makes sense. Which actually, interesting question. If I now take this one out of here, that should force him whenever he, like, is, yeah, to move over there. Yeah, I think the navigation needs to be significantly improved. I'm not going to make my entire own pathfinding, but what I might do is I might try to make something where, like, we have this location right here is where he's at, and this is the location where he needs to get at, right? So the first thing that's most important for him to do is to get on, like, this Y level. So what he'll probably need to do is he needs to like move down to this Y level. We can probably use EQS to find out how far we can move down. Do that as a downward movement. When we reach that point, we know that we're going to have to move in the X direction, in whatever way. And we'll probably... I don't know what we're going to do there. I'd probably just try to move like one tile, and then check whether or not we can move down again. And then we try to move down until we get to the desired Y location, and then we move in that direction again. Maybe we don't even need EQS for that, honestly. Maybe we can literally just... Because we don't need to score anything. We just need to like move to location until we can't move down anymore. Then we need to move to another location. So what we... Okay. I need to think this through a little bit. Because what I'm thinking right now is what we probably do is we kind of just like raycast to our desired Y position. It's not going to be particularly intelligent about it. But what I also don't want to do is like do an entire A-star pathfinding implementation. But it might be an interesting challenge to do that. But I would need to read up on that because I've never like coded that from scratch, obviously. Can you give me an example of A-star pathfinding? Like, let's just see if I understand what it generates to begin with. I just had another idea. So what if instead of all that, what we do is we do EQS, and what we end up doing is we do an EQS where we generate points, like 1 point on every tile, right? So we have 1 point. I'm not going to make X's everywhere. We have 1 point on every tile. At that point, we can, and this is the tile where we want to be. At that point, we can just score them according to their distance to the desired location. So far, that makes sense, I think, right? I always mess up with zoom it when that happens. So yeah, we have this desired location, and we have this tile, and we've got like a bunch of tiles here, right? But let's say that we are right here. So we have a bunch of tiles around us as well. I'm so good at drawing. How will we program this to make the decision to like... What I wanted to do is more or less just move in straight lines. Because again, I'm trying to like kind of emulate a GBA or a SNES type of style game, and that's how characters moved in there. So this would at least make a move from tile to tile. Which might just be all that we need, to be honest with you. So let's try to make a EQS thing that generates a grid. And then... This is going to be tricky. Actually, now I think about it. Because we can't just say, hey, move to the highest score, because that's just going to result in a normal move too. Yeah, that might be like a thing that we need to do in parallel. I might need to mess about with this a little bit, maybe even off stream, because I feel like this is going to otherwise waste a lot of time. But let's do NPC grid EQS. So zoom in. We can generate a grid, right? The spacing, okay, the grid half size will be... Oh, good question. They're 80, spaced 80 apart. So if we make this 800, it'll be 10 in every direction. I don't know if that's big enough. Let's actually, I think we can make a EQS test actor. EQS testing form. There we go. It's called EQS test. We only have one query. That's skeletal mesh. We only have one query. Okay, so that generates a grid about this size. This should actually, let's make sure that this snaps to the proper grid, just to make sure what that looks like. So we probably generate the EQS field around the goal, right? Or maybe we just have... no, because we need to regenerate. I was going to say maybe we just have like at 000 an act up that we use as the 0 point that it generates everything from. But every single NPC is going to need to run its own query anyway. So this needing to regenerate a couple of times, we don't save anything, I don't think. So let's maybe make this for now 1600 instead. That way we have like a bunch of points. Maybe too many. Definitely too many. 1600 is a little overboard. Let's go for 12. Let's go for 1000. I think that's halfway reasonable. Then we can start eliminating things. So we need to add a test. A test of like pathfinding, maybe. Test mode path exists. Path cost or path length. So the question is, does this like path used for like point to point? It's always going to have a path actually. That's not the issue. Like in this case, that's not really what we're looking for. Okay, so let's check the distance. Test mode is distance to the... Everything that is further away then the distance between the player and the goal doesn't need to be sampled. Because there's no way that a path in the map that I'm making right now anyway would take you further away to get where you need to be. Right? So this would be only filtering. So this would be the distance to the courier. And we... So min filter type. Oh, there we go. Filter type. I always get mixed up with EQS. I fucking hate this system. Mostly because I don't use it enough. So I also don't think that this necessarily works. Okay, so what I need to do actually is at any given time, I need to move to a point that is right next to my character in the closest direction to... Okay, so that's what we need to do. We need to filter distance to courier. And what we need is I don't know. I feel like with just filtering, I can just kind of get there, to be honest with you. So if I filter with a like maximum of 0.2, just saying something, right? Or do I need to correct to the item? Okay, so that's 0.0. Oh, they're not being scored yet. That makes sense. We're just... Oh, but they should be getting filtered at least. Doesn't seem like they are. If I just regen this real quick. Definitely does not seem like they're being filtered. But let's say if we score only. Like, what does that look like? Yeah, so this is the lowest score as the closest thing. So that's definitely the wrong way around. So inverse linear is how we want to score these. Then we want to also test... My brain is kind of shutting down. We want to test the distance to the item that we're querying. And we also want to score for that. And that is the further away the better. Now this also needs to be inverse linear. So how can we test this easily. Is there any way, like query config? Oh, well, we do need to make sure. Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll take a look into this once we actually have this working. So let's try to run this EQS in the behavior tree, because I think we probably just need to get our hands on this. This will be a simple parallel, I think, where we main task, move to target location. It's probably going to be a separate thing for that, but we can EQS. Actually, maybe I think we can even EQS as a service, can't we? Run EQS, yeah. Might be better to do it this way. Maybe not. Okay. But then, I should probably just end the stream soon because I'm not making sense of this. We generate around the query. No, we generate around the item, which is going to make this entirely disappear. So that makes, yeah. How do we set the item? Unreal EQS set item. That's what I need to know. Context. Items are created by the generator. And if using EQS testing pawn, they are the spheres that appear in the editor. An environment query item is either a location or an actor. Okay, that does not help me at all. So what I probably need to do is I understand now. I need to make a new context. That's the thing that's fucking me up. So context blueprint base, we're just gonna do it in blueprint right now. EQS display case context. What we're going to do, and this might be a bit annoying. Provides, let's do single location. Courier object, courier actor. What is the difference? The one is the actor, one is the object. That makes fucking sense. Let's cast to the BP NPC. Get AI controller. Get blackboard. Get value as vector. We make a literal name, and from that we get the target location. Definitely going to copy that instead of typing it out, because otherwise there's going to be issues. So yeah, this way we can get a context of the target location of our specific actor. So then instead of the distance to the item, we check for the distance to the display case. So this will now pick the point that is closest to both the courier and the... We need to generate this around the display case as well. Yeah, so this should now make you move along these points. The only thing that I'm kind of worried about is that you reach the location that you're moving to. Move to location. So yeah, if this only runs every half a second, or like even every 10th of a second, what if we reach that location before we actually reach the target location? So I guess what we should do is... Do we have an is at location? Is at location. There we go. We only wait... if we are at the target location. And this will become a separate thing. So we pick, then we do this sequence. But this will now actually it'll still work, because what we'll do is at the end, after we finish waiting, is we will set blackboard. We can't reset a blackboard key. We need to make a task for that. So yeah, the idea is that we uncheck the target location and we check whether or not it is set. If it is not set, we give it a location. If it is set, we do this. We can at least test this much. And we can also try to make this move to location, move to location. Let's just see what happens. It's probably gonna be fucked. So yeah, it's gonna be trying to move toward 0, 0. But it actually, to be fair, it did do it in like a pretty nice path instead of just straight. Because if we just say, hey, move to there, it's just going to book it in a straight line, right? Or it's not going to do anything, actually. Because this never gets set. I don't fucking know. Let's just, like, that. Like, this is just going to make it run in a straight line. No, it's because it's just not set. Yeah, that makes sense. No, it still doesn't make sense, actually. Hold on. I do need to see what happens here, because that's actually kind of weird. Its move to location is 80, 80, 52? 8400? Oh, no, that makes sense. It's just its target location is 000. Oh, and that's because, no, yeah, its behavior makes sense. Its behavior makes sense. None of the cards, none of the displays have cards. So if we put one in here, it should then, in a moment, start moving toward that one, I think. Maybe not. Target location is not set. Yeah, so we probably need to make a specific decorator for that as well, then, because I don't think we can check that. Okay. Let's just keep it in the sequence for now, and then see what happens. So this should now just try to keep picking a display case until it's found one. I'm gonna pick one that is specifically particularly difficult for him to get to. He still walks in a diagonal, which makes sense, but he should at least, like, yes, kind of pathfind to it. A little bit more intelligently. Not quite intelligent enough, though. So how can we fix that? um, instead of inverse linear, we could maybe at this point, I do think that we're getting back into. Also, hello. I haven't looked at chat in a moment. I'm sorry. At this point, I think we're veering dangerously close back into. We need a custom test for this, right? So instead, what we'll do is we'll do my original idea of doing a trace. So let's do a trace, and yeah. Actually, we have a receive execute AI. It's a little bit easier to do because now we have the controller immediately. We can get the blackboard out of that. And we have the control pawn, which we can use for get actor location. Line trace by channel. Okay, so our start will just be our actor's location. The end will be a make vector, which will be our board, and now we set value as vector, and that will be our literal name. Move to, is it move to or move to location? Move to lock. Somewhere in between. Move to location will be and then the target will be something. Yeah, blackboard. That will at least always make you walk down in a straight line to the dedicated or the desired y value. But now if we are already close to the y value, or this, the distance to this location, is lower than a certain amount, at least in the y value. Then we need to trace in the x direction. I don't think that this is a great way of doing it either. Gonna be real with you. Let's just try this one, just to see whether or not he walks to exactly the proper y value. So this will be the move to by trace task. So we have this here. So we have move to trace. Oh, there we go. It's not been saved yet. Now, there we go. So let's get rid of that ID. So it's not moving because there's nothing for him to move to yet. But if we then say, hey, move to the Y location corresponding to this, in a moment you should start moving, you are not. That's a very bad start. Why is that? Oh, it doesn't actually. Yeah. That's because I'm an idiot, is why. Move to actually controller. Move to location. I guess we can then just get this value from the blackboard again. Maybe not ideal, but at least that means that we have a slightly more elegant node setup. Well, emphasis being on slightly. What the fuck are you even on about? Oh, that is the blackboard. Oh, so then we don't even need to use that blackboard. We can just immediately do this. Great. So then move to this, right? But that's not async. Hold on. Move to simple move to location. No. Simple move. No. Move to location or actor is I think what we want. That's a task, right? So that is async. That's what we want. And task. That's a. Finish execute is what we need. Finish executes. On request failed is success no. On move finish is success yes. Okay, so now it should also actually do the movement. The key name we need to input as move location. Which actually means that that doesn't need to be a key anymore. But we'll just gotta make this work first. Once it works, we can take a look into other stuff. So what the fuck? That actually doesn't make sense. It should only ever move to the Y location of the target. And its own X and Z. If this is the thing that it's running. So that almost must mean that it's not running that task. Which is really confusing. Right, so if we... Hold on. What's this? Oh. No, that's just my mistake. I think, right? Oh, it should be just this. This one is what we need to do. So, okay, so now it should just move straight down to the right Y level. I mean, it technically is a pathfinding algorithm that we're making. Oh, yeah, and then the right Y level. What it needs to go down to is like the... I don't know, but the target location should be... That's kind of weird. Its target location should be the location of that actor plus an offset. Seeing that making something 2D in Unreal is so hard. Yeah, the thing that I'm struggling with right now isn't necessarily related to that, but you're still right. So yeah, the location for this is 1360, 20, or 1270. And you're trying to move to, 1400, 1350. And your move to location is all kinds of fucked up. 1250. So I don't really understand why... Why don't you move those last, like, 100 units down? What if I just move you... So if you move up to it, at least you do get to the right position. How is that possible? Yeah, I don't care. That's weird. That is really kind of weird. So it's not hitting anything. Right? We can just like print string. It's going to be spamming hellos. Well, the moment I start putting in like a... No. The moment I start putting a card, it will start spamming hellos. Because... Pawn movement. Set that lower. See if it gets closer. I think the issue that it might be having, legitimately, is an issue where it tries to move. Stop at partial path, use path finding. See if this makes a difference. It shouldn't. Mistake in my programming. So this is 1270, and you need to be at 13, like 1350, right? You are at 1350, but your pivot point is not in the middle of your sprite. This guy, because I want him to actually stick this out. I want him to walk in straight lines instead of like more intelligently like Unreal makes him, which is quite nice a lot of the time, but not quite for what I wanted to do right now, because I want them to walk in straight lines. Which is, I don't understand why a pivot point is right there. Why does it change his pivot point? What? How does it change the pivot point? Look, pivot point for me, in the middle. Pivot point for this fucker, down below. Must be something to do with the AI controller. Like, if we real quick go back into the AI controller that we made, and we don't run the behavior tree. That's right. Where is his pivot point? If we do, I don't know what's up with my camera, dude. Why is your pivot point down there? How does that make sense? Must be that it must be something to do with one of the sprites. It's this sprite. Oh, that might be. No, actually, that doesn't make sense. But we're gonna check it out anyway. Because it's the object itself that switches pivot points, not the sprite, I don't think. But we can check it out real quick. Yeah, that's center. We can actually just select all of these sprites. 9 of them that is right. Select actions, property. No, I don't know what that was. Replace references. Definitely do not do that. I wanted to add a selection of property matrix. Pivot point for all of them is in the center. So that's not the issue. Pivot point for you is also... I don't know. That's really weird. Does he also like change positions on the gameplay? He doesn't. Yeah, nobody's gonna have this issue. Pivot point changes in Unreal. Actually, somebody has this issue. Holy hell. Okay, now this person does not, in fact, have the same issue as me, because I'm working on something today, and nobody in their right mind does that. Something to do with pivot. That doesn't do anything. I honestly don't know what could be causing this. I mean, that's highly weird. Just put in a new one. Just to see if something just got messed up, I guess. It moves its pivot point to bottom center. And I don't know why. Just for shits and giggles, if I put in a player character, I wouldn't do it. Actually, I control both. No, I don't. Its pivot point doesn't get fucked up. But it also... Oh, that's actually interesting. Because there's also a difference with... with the whole collision thing and the nav mesh. Okay, so what we're just going to do instead is I'm just going to... actually, that doesn't work that way, does it? Did he just happen to get the same colors as the player? Again? More or less, anyway. So yeah, let's just, I guess, what we do, we set this to 000. Well, actually, more like 005. And then we check out I guess that is like 30 to 70. So that still should be... Holy, what the fuck? So we do this plus 80. Oh, it's plus 160 in this. Okay, yeah. So that's what my... Let's go. Take a card out. Put the card in. He doesn't have the behavior tree anymore because I disabled that. So we only do that if its Y value isn't proper yet. The actors, that's... I guess we take an absolute from that. So it's in either direction. If that is less than 40, which is half a tile, we're probably in a good place. Then we do this. Well, no, actually, then we don't do this. If it is in the right position already, we do another line tracer. But there, what we do instead is we do... This is very brute force. And very not intelligent in the way it calculates stuff. So this is actually just straight up kind of bad. We get the blackboard. Oh, now it does work. Okay. Blackboard. And this is the controller. If this works, I'll clean it up. But I can't help but feel like this is still going to be problematic. But maybe it'll work. So you move down. You know what? That actually works better than I thought it was going to. I didn't think that was going to work very well. Where what I need to do is I need to be able to assign extra score based on if something is on the same X or Y as the courier, because that will make it move in just straight lines actually. Do we still? Yeah, I don't think we have. Yeah, no. So could we test for something like that, right? For now, I think what we're just gonna do, and we'll see if we get back to it at a later time. If we just do move to a target location, I think like 90% of the time that probably should be fine, right? If I just want you to move over to this target location, like, do you get stuck on anything? Don't think you do. Yeah, you do. But that is maybe just because like the agent size, like agent max agents. This is crowd manager. That's not what I want. Navigation. Agent radius should just be bigger. So if we just make that like 45 or something like that, it should then avoid things better. I mean, might just leave it at that, to be honest. Like, if this makes him consistent in navigating around, it doesn't. Which is very dumb. Unless radius is the smallest, size of the tallest agent, double path with this nav mesh. Actually, I think this might just, I might be misunderstanding what this does. What if we set this to 100? I'm just experimenting at this point. He gets stuck in the exact same way, so that doesn't seem to actually do anything. I think this was 32 before. Let's just Google this real quick. And check in the agent, or the engine rather. Like there's surely a navigation tab here, right? Navigation system, I'm assuming. Are we back? Are we gonna drop again? We're gonna drop again, aren't we? We're gonna drop again. So yeah, stream's over. I guess the stream is just over because my internet just decides to fuck itself again. Stream's also over because it's been over 3 hours and this was supposed to be a bonus stream anyway. This is just not okay. Unreal Navmesh agent gets stuck. I'm just going to Google this and see if my internet can hold out long enough for me to troubleshoot this small issue. But it's unlikely. Yeah, I can't even Google this. Gonna give it like a minute. Google's not even returning results. My internet is actually fucked. Oh, there we go. Okay. For like half a second it worked. Um, maybe I need to in the NPC set the